Maha-Bharata, second part, chapter 18, Krishna's mystic power. Part 1, Yudhishthir worries about Arjuna. From some ways off, Yudhishthir heard the blast of Arjuna and Krishna's conchals. Fearful that his brother might be in danger and signaling for help, Yudhishthir said to Satyaki, "O grandson of Seni, I think the hour has arrived when you must do the duty of a friend. You are wholly devoted to our welfare, and especially to Arjuna's. O hero, it is said that one who casts off his mortal frame while fighting for a friend's cause gets the same result as one who gives away twice the entire earth in charity. I do think Arjuna may now need your help. Single-handedly, he has entered the Kaurava array. Please go to where Arjuna is standing. There is no one else who can assist Arjuna better than you." Satyaki felt torn. Arjuna had specifically ordered him to remain by the side of Yudhishthir and to follow his instructions. But now Yudhishthir was asking him to leave. What would happen if, while he was gone, Drona attacked and captured Yudhishthir? Arjuna would never forgive him. Satyaki revealed his doubts. "O Lord of the earth, there is nothing I would not do at your command. As you have rightly said, I am ever devoted to the service of Arjuna. Thus, I am ready to penetrate even into the ranks of the heavenly host, just to assist that foremost of fighters, Sabyasachi. However, I must remind you of Arjuna's very words to me today. Protect Yudhishthir until I return from slaying Jayadratha. So how can I leave you? Surely Drona Acharya's threat still hangs over you, since Drona vowed to take you captive." "O king, let me reassure you. Arjuna could not possibly be in any danger because he is with Krishna. Now tell me, who among the Kauravas could even threaten them? Surely Arjuna has blown his conchal after achieving a great victory. Probably Vijay has come closer to Jayadratha. I am sure Arjuna is well. But if you cannot dispel your anxiety, I will follow him. Nevertheless, without leaving you in the care of someone able to protect you from Drona, then I cannot leave. Therefore, command me as you will, O king." Yudhishthir pointed to the many warriors surrounding him: Bhima, Drishtadyumna, the twins, Draupadi's sons, Gatotkacha, and numerous others. They would surely be able to hold off Drona should he attack. In any event, the preceptor was likely to be occupied in the attempt to protect Jayadratha. Seeing Yudhishthir's determination that he go after Arjuna, Satyaki felt impelled to leave. After all, what if Arjuna really did need help? Although it seemed unlikely that Dhananjaya was actually in trouble, Satyaki felt that if he did not follow Arjuna, he would be censured as a coward. Looking around at the Pandava warriors fighting near the king, Satyaki then said, "In accordance with your order, O king, I will depart. May good betide you. Plunging into the hostile army, an ocean teeming with arrows, darts, and lances, I will soon reach my teacher and render Arjuna whatever assistance Sabyasachi may require. Now, let your fear be dispelled." After going over to Bhima and asking him To take his place by the side of Yudhishthir, Satyaki ordered his chariot driver to drive into the Kaurava array in Arjuna's wake. Satyaki soon saw the trail of carnage Bibhatsu had left behind. Fighting his way past the remaining troops, Satyaki then encountered Kritavarma, and a terrible fight ensued between them. Satyaki fought intensely, determined to reach Arjuna as quickly as possible. And soon, Satyaki overcame Kritavarma. Every Kaurava warrior who came against Satyaki was swiftly routed. Passing along Arjuna's path, Satyaki made rapid progress. Within an hour, Satyaki sighted Arjuna's chariot in the distance, its tall flag standard appearing high above the battlefield. Seeing this, Satyaki took out his conchal and blew a great blast. Yet, even after sending Satyaki to assist Arjuna, still Yudhishthir was apprehensive, and so he spoke with Bhimasena. "Oh, my dear brother, out of my own anxiety, I have sent Sini's grandson into the hostile array formed by Drona Acharya. Now I fear for both him and Arjuna. O mighty armed hero, you alone are capable of holding the enemy at bay. Therefore, go swiftly after your brother and Satyaki, and when you reach them and find them safe, let go a mighty roar. Then my mind will be relieved with you by their side. Nothing will be impossible for Arjuna and his disciple Satyaki. I will then consider Jayadratha already slain." "O king, what danger can there be for Jishnu? But if it is your desire, then I will go after Arjuna. Soon you will hear my shout. Now let your mind be at ease." And before leaving, Bhimasena went over to Drishtadyumna and said, "I am now proceeding after Arjuna. Remembering Drona Acharya's vow, stay close by the side of the king. You are born just for that Brahmana's destruction. So in your presence, Yudhishthir should experience no danger." Reassured by Drishtadyumna, Bhima charged into the Kaurava ranks. And like Satyaki before him, Bhima saw the slaughter Arjuna had wreaked. Going along the track made by both Arjuna and Satyaki, Bhima's progress toward his brother was swift. Bhima quickly overcame the fighters who challenged him and soon reached Arjuna. Seeing Dhananjay's flag standard at a distance, with Satyaki's chariot not far off, Bhima roared tremendously. Arjuna, who had already met Satyaki, then heard his brother's roar and said to Krishna, "Oh, here now is the mighty Bhimasena. I do not see how the Kauravas will be able to protect Jayadratha from me when I am united with my brother and Satyaki." Arjuna was somewhat surprised to see his disciple. At first, Arjuna reproached Satyaki, fearful for Yudhishthir's welfare. But Satyaki reassured Arjuna that the king was protected. Satyaki saw that Drona was also tied up protecting Jayadratha, so there was no immediate danger for Yudhishthir. Arjuna then embraced his beloved student, who had performed an amazing feat in passing through the Kauravas in such a short time. Praising his prowess, Arjuna told Satyaki to assist him in reaching Jayadratha. Tumi kripa Parabara Jivera Karane Asya Prapanche Lila Koile Subistara Gopinath 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 Gopinath. Part 2. Bhimasena confounds Karna. Now, only 2 hours remained until sunset. Arjuna still had to overcome Karna, Ashvathama, and other powerful Kauravas before he could reach Jayadratha. Doubtlessly, Drona himself would also fight to his full power in order to protect the Sindhu king. Meanwhile, Duryodhana had recovered from his wounds and had come back to the fight with many of his brothers. All of them stood between Arjuna and Jayadratha, and it was by no means certain that Dhananjaya would fulfill his vow. However, now that Bhimasena had arrived, the Kauravas were shaking like a forest struck by a wind gale. Arjuna was bad enough, but when Vijay fought with Bhima and Satyaki, no one would be able to stop Arjuna. The 3 of them advanced towards the division which formed Jayadratha's last line of defense. Karna came forward to meet them, and Bhima challenged him. Karna rushed at Bhima, furiously releasing hundreds of arrows. Warding off their shafts, Bhima replied with 100 of his own. Both warriors glared at each other with eyes like blazing coal. They circled one another in their chariots, their gaze fixed upon the other, waiting for the other's move. The 2 antagonists suddenly began shooting showers of deadly shafts. Their bowstrings cracked like thunderclaps, and their arrows struck each other's armor with resounding thuds. Neither flinched under their opponent's attack, neither showed any quarter. The surrounding troops looked on in amazement. Some of them, seeing Karna's dazzling speed, considered Bhima to be doomed, while others, seeing Bhima's uncontrolled rage, felt that Karna's end had now arrived. Bhima assailed Karna with all of his power. He looked at Karna with unbridled contempt. Here was one of the prime causes of the Pandavas' suffering. This was the one who had laughed in the dice game. This was the one who ordered Draupadi to find another husband. Indeed, it had been Karna who had suggested she be disrobed. Karna had always conspired with the Kauravas to bring about their downfall. Karna's mocking words as they left for the forest was still ringing in Bhima's ears. Now at last Bhima stood against Karna in battle. Fearlessly Bhima closed in on Karna, stretching his golden bow back to his ear as he discharged arrows. Bhima sent so many shafts at Karna that they screened Bhima from his view. Karna countered the attack and quickly emerged from the network of arrows. Karna pierced Bhima with 9 well-tempered steel arrows, which flashed from his bow like lightning. Undaunted, Bhima went even closer to Karna, constantly releasing steel shafts, which struck Karna in every part of his body. Intent on smashing Karna with his mace, Bhima brought his chariot right up to Karna, and as they came together, Bhima's black-hued horses mingled with the milk-white horses of his enemy. The great horses, merging together, appeared like beautiful black and white clouds combining in the sky. The Kauravas all cried out in anguish as they saw the furious Bhima resolved on the destruction of Karna. Bhima swung his mace, and Karna countered with his own. The two maces collided with a shower of sparks, and a sound that deafened the onlookers for some moments. Contending at close quarters, Bhima and Karna appeared like a couple of infuriated mountain lions fighting to the death. The chariot drivers pulled back the horses, and the two chariots again broke apart. Both men again took up their bows, firing short-shafted arrows and blazing darts at one another. And as they circled each other, constantly discharging their weapons, the two resembled clouds discharging rain in the monsoon season. Their arrows, decked with gold, seemed like rows of maddened swans ranging through the heavens. Meanwhile, Krishna and Arjuna both felt that a heavy burden had been placed on Bhima. The enraged Karna was a formidable foe. Although Karna had encountered the Pandavas on several occasions, Karna had never been in his present mood. Now, Karna seemed like the Lord of Death himself, coming for the destruction of all creatures. But Bhima skillfully held off Karna's attack. Everyone cheered Bhima as he countered Karna's innumerable arrows with his own. As Bhima and Karna battled, Arjuna and Satyaki maintained a ceaseless attack on the Kauravas. Elephants, horses, and men fell dead all around them, pierced by their irresistible arrows. Suddenly, Bhima cut Karna's bow in 2 parts with a razor-faced arrow. Bhima then struck down one of Karna's 2 chariot drivers and then launched 50 straight flying shafts at his immobilized foe. But Karna shrugged off the arrows and took up a lance. Like Indra hurling his thunderbolt, Karna threw the lance with all of his might at Bhimasena. Inlaid with gold and gems, the lance flew with a glaring brilliance, its tip emitting orange flames. Seeing it leave Karna's hand, Bhima took out 7 crescent-headed arrows, firing them in swift succession. Those arrows flew end to end and cut the lance into 8 pieces. And with a further 20 shafts, Bhimasena then struck Karna on the chest and then sent up a great roar. Ha! Without a moment's delay, Karna took up and strung another bow. He released 12 swift arrows, while Bhimasena was fixing more shafts on his own bow. Even the Celestials were surprised to witness Karna's deftness and skill. Moving his chariot rapidly from side to side, Bhimasena's chariot driver Vishoka evaded Karna's arrows as they whistled past Bhima. The battle between the two heroes went on like a fight between 2 mighty elephants for the leadership of the herd. They assailed each other untiringly, roaring all the while. Sometimes they laughed, Sometimes they reproached one another, and sometimes they blew their conch shells. They flashed scornful glances at each other as they fought, each seeking victory over the other. Once again, Bhima cut apart Karna's bow, then immediately slew Karna's 4 horses and his second chariot driver. Summoning all of his strength, Bhima sent a terrific downpour of arrows which completely enveloped Karna. Now that his horses and chariot drivers were slain, and himself constantly being struck everywhere, Karna became confounded. He did not know what to do. Seeing his friend in such a predicament, Duryodhana commanded his brother Durmukha to rescue Karna. Braving Bhimasena's arrows, Durmukha raced over to Karna, quickly taking him onto his chariot. But even as Karna leaped across to the chariot, Bhima killed Durmukha along with his chariot driver and horses. Shocked, Karna quickly circumambulated the dead Kaurava and then ran across to another warrior's chariot. As a number of Duryodhana's other brothers came to Karna's support, he resumed his assault on Bhima. Now smiling to see so many of his sworn enemies before him, Bhimasena fought with even greater intensity. Bhima killed another 3 Kaurava princes and yelled out his battle cry, making the rest of them shake with fear. And in the distance, Yudhishthir could hear the victorious shout and was now relieved. Everything was clearly well with Arjuna and Bhima. So fierce was the attack of Bhimasena that no one could stand before him. Another 4 of Dhritarashtra's sons were each killed by one single arrow from the bow of Bhimasena. Finally, even Karna himself was overpowered, pierced by so many shafts. He was forced to turn and flee. Ami ki doshe doshi Ashura shakala Pairo sharana Vinod takilo bosi Gopinath Gopinath Gopinath, 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 Gopinath. Part 3. Bhima slays Vikarna with a twinge of sorrow. Bhima fell upon the Kauravas with a manic fury. Targeting Duryodhana's brothers, Bhima began slaying them like a lion killing deer. Bhima's arrows fell upon the Kauravas like poisonous serpents. Now, remembering all the wrongs the Kauravas had committed against him and his brothers, Bhima ruthlessly cut them down. And as he ranged about the battlefield, Bhima came upon Vikarna. Bhima remembered how Vikarna had fearlessly spoken in defense of Draupadi during the Asat Sabha, the dice game. The Pandavas knew that Vikarna felt genuine affection for them and even supported their cause, even against his elder brother. but duty had ultimately compelled Vikarna to fight for Duryodhana. However, bearing in mind his vow to kill all 100 brothers, as well as his duty as a Kshatriya, Bhimasena did not hesitate to attack Vikarna along with his brothers. With golden winged shafts, Bhima cut down the brothers one after another. Finally, Bhima slew Vikarna with 3 arrows. As the prince fell to the earth, Bhima went over to him and circumambulated his body. Bhima felt a twinge of sorrow, but thinking of the exalted destination Vikarna was sure to attain, Bhima once again became cheerful. For the virtuous Kaurava hero had always performed his religious duties, and Vikarna had died in battle while facing his foes. Doubtlessly, Vikarna must have gone to the celestial regions. After paying his last respects to Vikarna, Bhima again launched himself into the fight. Nearby, Satyaki was driving back Drona's troops, moving toward the preceptor himself, while Arjuna was pressing relentlessly toward Jayadratha. Not much time remained until sunset, and so the 3 Pandava heroes fought to their extreme limits of power. Part 4. Bhurishvava goes back to Godhead. Duryodhana was now grief-stricken. Bhima had just killed more than 30 of his brothers. Duryodhana remembered Vidura's warnings. Why had he not heeded them? Surely Bhimasena was not human, neither was Arjuna. Both of them were annihilating his forces, like Indra and Mahadev wiping out the Asura demons. And not far away, Satyaki was single-handedly destroying the Trigarta army. Why, it seemed that all of the Pandava warriors were aided by some kind of divine power. Perhaps Krishna was indeed the Supreme Person. Remembering the assurances of the Danavas, Duryodhana was now thinking that even if those celestial beings were assisting him, it would prove to no avail against an enemy assisted by God himself. And despite the overwhelming odds, the Pandavas were steadily crushing Duryodhana's forces. The greatest fighters in the 3 worlds were among his army, but they could make no impression on the Pandavas. Duryodhana also could do nothing, it seemed, even while clad in the celestial armor granted to him by Drona Acharya. Duryodhana now looked up at the sky. The sun was not far from the western horizon. Perhaps all was not yet lost. Arjuna still had to pass Drona and his son Ashvatthama. If they were supported by other invincible Kaurava warriors, then Arjuna may well be thwarted. Duryodhana urged his chariot driver to quickly drive over to Drona Acharya. One last strategic effort was needed. He and the preceptor could form all the great fighters in the vicinity into a solid line just to protect Jayadratha. Surely even Arjuna would not have enough time to fight his way past Drona, Kripa, Karna, Ashvatthama, Shalya, and a dozen other warriors, all standing together. As Duryodhana raced towards Drona, Satyaki fought with the powerful Kuru hero Bhurishvava. As they encountered each other, both men bore in mind an old enmity between their 2 fathers. Once in a fight during a Swayamvara ceremony, Satyaki's father Sini defeated Somadatta, the father of Bhurishrava. Sini had dragged and kicked Somadatta in the presence of many kings. After this, Somadatta pleased Lord Shiva, receiving a boon that his son would do the same to Sini's son. Now the two sons were meeting in battle for the first time. They traded arrows by the thousands, but neither could gain an advantage over the other. Both warriors hurled lances and javelins with all their might, but only saw their opponent unfailingly cut them down with well-aimed arrows. Roaring like a couple of bulls, they contended at close quarters. Both men's horses and chariot drivers were slain, and their chariots smashed to pieces. The two dauntless fighters jumped clear of their broken chariots. They drew out their sky-blue swords from their jeweled scabbards. Holding bull-hide shields inlaid with gold and silver carvings, they slowly circled one another. As they came together, they displayed various skillful motions, circling and moving swiftly from side to side. They leaped into the air and swung their great swords, striking each other with all their power. The clash of their swords rang out across the battlefield. Sparks flew up as the weapons collided or fell upon the armor of the fighters. Both warriors thrust their swords and parried with a speed and skill which amazed all the onlookers, who simply shouted out praise and encouragement to both fighters. Suddenly, with one mighty blow, both swords shattered simultaneously. Throwing them aside, the two fighters fell down wrestling. They struck and seized each other, rolling about on the ground, grunting and roaring, displaying every kind of wrestling skill. They fought on and on, each determined to kill the other. But gradually, Satyaki became tired. It had taken a superhuman effort to reach Arjuna, and that was now taking its toll. Bhurishrava now saw his chance. He seized Satyaki's hair. Dragging him across the battlefield, the Kuru warrior repeatedly kicked and punched Satyaki. But not far away, Krishna was seeing what was about to happen, and he spoke to Arjuna. "Kiriti, quickly, go save your disciple, who has become exhausted while fighting for your good. See now the danger he faces." Quickly, Arjuna turned, looking across at Satyaki. Bhurishrava had picked up a discarded sword and was raising it, ready to cut off his enemy's head. Seeing Satyaki in such a perilous position, Arjuna at once placed a razor-headed arrow on his Gandiva bow. Releasing it with full force, Arjuna cut off Bhurishrava's arm just as he was bringing down the sword upon Satyaki. The arm, still clutching the sword, dropped to the earth like a five-hooded serpent falling from heaven. With blood spurting from his shoulder, Bhurishrava looked around in both anger and surprise. Who could have so flagrantly ignored the rules of combat? To attack an enemy without warning was unthinkable. Noticing Arjuna nearby, Bhurishrava realized it must have been Falguna. Shocked, Bhurishrava reproached Vijay. "Alas, O son of Kunti! How could you perform such a cruel and heartless deed? You were not engaged with me, but still you covertly cut off my arm. Have you learned this from Drona or Kripa, or perhaps Indra? I think not, for none of those personalities could ever approve such a heinous act, nor could you, one born in a noble line, have performed this mean-spirited deed out of your own accord. No, Rather, I think that this was done at the instigation of that deceitful Krishna. The Vrishnis are a race of low and mean-minded men, ever given to shameful contact. Why have you chosen to befriend them, Arjuna? Just see now the result. Now, moving closer to Bhurishrava, Arjuna called out, "Yes, it is evident that with the decay of the body, the intellect also suffers. O hero, since you have directed so many useless reproaches at us, you know well that I am fully aware of the codes of combat as well as the meaning of all moral precepts. How could I commit a sinful act? Kshatriyas fight their foes while supported by their own men. Why then should I not protect Satyaki, who is fighting on my behalf, careless of his own life? Indeed, it is my first duty to afford him protection. For had I stood by and watched you kill him, then I would have been guilty of sin." Bhurishrava then dropped to his knees, holding his wounds. He listened in silence as Arjuna continued speaking. "You were prepared to kill Satyaki when he was weaponless, fatigued, and fallen to the earth. Seeing this, I acted swiftly just to save him. As Satyaki was unprepared for your assault, so you were unprepared for mine. You should not censure me. Rather, you should reproach yourself for failing to guard against an attack while standing on the battlefield. Tell me now, O mighty armed warrior, how you would have acted towards your own dependent in such circumstances." And with his lifeblood now quickly ebbing, Bhurishrava made no reply. Deciding to give up his life while absorbed in mystic meditation, Bhurishrava used his left hand to spread out a bed of arrows. With difficulty, he gathered the shafts, placing them together in a makeshift seat. As he sat on the arrows, he fixed his eyes on the sun globe. All the other warriors on the battlefield then stopped fighting out of respect. The Kauravas then rebuked both Krishna and Arjuna. Unable to tolerate their abuse, Arjuna shouted back, "It is my solemn vow that no one on my side shall be slain as long as I am in a position to protect them. Surely it is not right for you Kauravas, neither you, Bhurishrava, to condemn me for saving an unarmed man from an armed antagonist. But, O great heroes, who would not condemn the killing of an unarmed, careless Abhimanyu by a group of powerfully armed warriors standing on their chariots?" Bhurishrava only remained silent. His anger was now gone. He and Arjuna were friends from long ago, and hearing the words of Vijay, spoken without malice, Bhurishrava could see his own faults. Realizing that his destined end had arrived, Bhurishrava closed his eyes and fixed his mind upon Lord Vishnu, preparing himself to observe the sacred Praya vow of meditating until death. Arjuna spoke again to the fallen Kuru fighter. "O Great One, the love I bear for you is equal to that I bear for my own brothers. With my permission, and that of Krishna's also, go now to heaven." And Krishna added, "Yes, you have been devoted to sacrifice and worship of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, go to my kingdom, which is ablaze with effulgence, and coveted even by Brahmaji. Assuming now your spiritual form, equal to my own, mount upon the back of Garuda, who will carry you to that eternal abode of mine, where there is no birth, death, old age, or disease." As Krishna was speaking, Satyaki recovered from his swoon and rose to his feet. Seeing his enemy seated nearby, Satyaki took up his discarded sword and rushed at Burishroba. And as everyone present cried out to stop Satyaki, he swung the sword with all of his strength and cut off the head of Burishroba. There was only shocked silence. No one praised Satyaki for killing Burishroba, who had already been slain by Arjuna. Some of the Kaurava troops spoke among themselves. Yes, Satyaki was only the instrument, for this hero's end had surely been ordained by fate. The Creator himself has moved Satyaki to kill Burishroba, and so we should not give way to anger, which is always the cause of a man's grief. But others among the Kauravas, such as Duryodhana and Karna, rebuked Satyaki. Turning around with the bloodied sword still in his hand, Satyaki called out to them, "You sinful men can only speak of virtue, but your actions are never virtuous. Where was your righteousness when Abhimanyu was slain? I vowed long ago to slay any man who threw me down in battle and kicked me. I was always destined to kill Burishroba. It is the hand of fate, the hand of God that moves all men. So where is my fault?" In ancient times, the sage Valmiki said, "One should always act in battle in ways which give pain to the enemy." Still, everyone remained silent. No one on either side considered Satyaki's act as noble. They all praised Burishroba within their minds, for he had gone to the highest and most holiest of regions. They looked at Burishroba's head lying on the ground, which, with its curling blue locks and eyes red like a pigeon, was charming even in death. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Part 5. Krishna assists Arjuna in killing Jayadratha and his father. After a moment of respectful silence, the warriors on both sides blew their conch shells, and the battle began in earnest. Now, taking up his Gandiva bow, Arjuna spoke to Krishna. "O Madhava, urge on the horses. The sun is falling fast towards the western hills. The Sindhu ruler is well protected by the foremost of Kuru fighters. My task will not be easy. O mighty armed Krishna, drive the horses in such a way that I may not be thwarted." Arjuna's chariot then rushed off towards Jayadratha, whose flag standard was just visible beyond the thick array of Kaurava troops. At once, Duryodhana, Karna, Shalya, Ashvathama, Kripa, and Vrishasena attacked. They were supported by tens of thousands of chariot drivers, horsemen, and elephants. All the warriors charged Arjuna like a stormy sea crashing onto the shore. With his razor-headed arrows, Arjuna at once severed the limbs of the fighters all around him. As the sun assumed a crimson hue, Arjuna relentlessly slaughtered the Kaurava troops. Although they were being decimated, the Kauravas were cheered to see the sun almost on the horizon. Surely Dhananjaya would fail in his vow to kill Jayadratha on this day. Determined to hold Arjuna back, Kripa and Ashvathama attacked Arjuna from both sides. They rained down countless arrows on both Arjuna and Krishna. And at the same time, Duryodhana, still encased in his impenetrable armor, along with Karna, assailed Bibhatsu from the front. From the rear, Shalya roared out his challenge and immediately sent hundreds of shafts at Vijay. Arjuna moved with blinding speed. Whirling about on the terrace of his chariot, Arjuna sent arrows at every one of his assailants. All of them were either pierced or had their bows shattered by Sabyasachi's shafts. Again, Bhima tackled with Karna, and at the same time annihilated the troops supporting Karna. Satyaki took on Shalya and Vrishashena, killing thousands of their soldiers. Slowly, Arjuna forced back the Kauravas who stood before him. Faced with an endless stream of blazing shafts, the Kauravas struggled in vain to hold Bibhatsu in check. Both Ashvathama and Kripa Acharya displayed masterful skills, but Bibhatsu checked every one of their weapons with his powerful arrows. Kiriti pierced his attackers with burning missiles launched from his Gandiva bow with all of his power. The sky appeared as if illuminated by a constant shower of meteors, and in his wrath, Arjuna resembled the eternal Mahadev, slaying the Asura demons with his divine Ajagara bow. Numerous monarchs and warriors then came forward to attack Arjuna, clutching bows, lances, maces, and swords. Advancing furiously on Arjuna, they were destroyed within moments by Kiriti's irresistible arrows. The twang of his Gandiva bow, continuously resounding, resembled the roar of clouds seen in the sky at the end of a yuga. Warriors were dispatched to the kingdom of death by the tens of thousands. The Kauravas then began to panic. They called out to one another amidst the confusion and carnage. Blood-spattered bodies lay everywhere, entangled and twisted heaps. The cries and moans of dying men mingled with the roars and battle cries of the surviving fighters. Wherever the warriors looked, they saw Arjuna's flag standard carving through their ranks. Vijay's snake-like arrows fell from the sky as if rained down by Indradev himself. Even Drona Acharya, coming against Kiriti with all of his strength, could not check Arjuna. Drona called out to his troops, who were now starting to flee, in an attempt to rally them back to the battle. However, less than 1/2 hour remained until sunset. Drona ordered his son Ashvathama, and also ordered Kripa, Karna, Shalya, Duryodhana, and a number of other Maha-Bharata warriors to stand against Arjuna, who was now in the vision of Jayadratha. They all began hurling weapons at Bibhatsu, screening him from Jayadratha. Vijay, although so close to his foe, began to despair. Only minutes remained until sunset, and Arjuna could hardly see Jayadratha. So thick was the shower of arrows, darts, and lances thrown by the Kaurava heroes. Krishna saw his friend's predicament. Keshava raised his right hand, and immediately Krishna's Sudarshana chakra appeared at the end of his outstretched finger. Throwing that disc, Krishna covered the sun like an eclipse, and at once darkness enveloped the battlefield. Thinking that the sun had set, the Kauravas cheered. Jayadratha was still alive. Now Arjuna would have to enter the fire due to his vow. Oh, surely the war was now over. Confounded, Arjuna looked around, but Krishna reassured Vijay. "O Partha, there is still time. Fix your eyes on the southern quarter. That is where Jayadratha stands. The Kauravas have now lowered their weapons, and the Sindhu ruler stands unprotected. And within a moment, Jayadratha will come before your sight. Place upon your Gandiva bow an arrow charged with the power of Lord Brahma, and sever the head of Jayadratha." Immediately Arjuna did as he was told. And as Vijay raised his bow with the brilliant golden shaft attached, Krishna said, "This monarch has received a boon from his father." The old Sindhu king, Vriddakshatra, blessed his son that whoever makes his head fall to the earth will himself die, his own head shattered in 100 pieces. And I know that Vriddakshatra now sits some miles from here at Samantapanchaka Lake. He is in deep meditation. Therefore, empower your arrow to carry Jayadratha's head to the lap of his father Vriddakshatra. And after saying this, Krishna withdrew his Sudarshana chakra. Suddenly it was light again, the sun clearly visible just above the western horizon. Instantly Arjuna released his arrow. It flew like a comet straight at Jayadratha, who was standing fearlessly on his chariot, caught unaware by the sudden reappearance of the sun. Severing his head from his neck, the arrow carried it high into the sky and out of the sight of all the warriors. After traveling a great distance, the arrow, carrying the head of Jayadratha, was deposited on the lap of Vriddakshatra. Startled, the monarch quickly stood up, and as his son's head fell to the ground, his own head broke into 100 pieces, and Vriddakshatra fell down dead. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakshama, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakshama, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava Pahimam. Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahlada Ahlada Dayini, Hiranya Kashipu Vaksha, Shilatanka Nakalai, Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimho, Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrsimha, Bahir Nrsimho, Hridayi Nrsimho, Nrsimham Adin Sharanam Prapadye. Karakamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam, Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanubringam, Keshavadrita Nara Hadirupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Keshavadrita Nrsimha Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare.